Welcome along to the Spearo Diaries Podcast with Elisa and Laura, two mermaids chatting about spearfishing and ocean adventures.
This episode, we are lucky enough to have been able to sit down with one of the most experienced Spearos in New Zealand history.
Seasoned master, Kina merchant, wise bloke, Herbert.
Herb was actually our first interview, and we've been saving him up. We unfolded some great yarns from the archives of his life.
A man who has spent the majority of his life dedicated to spearfishing. So, let's get into it.
We are here following the legendary Mercury Bay Open competition that's held in Flaxmill Bay every year for about as long as we can remember, 32 years actually. And we are lucky enough to be interviewing Herb.
The legend Herb. So thank you for having us this weekend, Herb. We've stayed in your bunk rooms, and yeah, we always just super appreciate you guys. You and Sandy, you're always super hospitable to us.
No problem at all.
Morning porridge made by Herb and a seafood chowder after a comp is something you can't quite get in a
normal comp.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's much more like homely, and so we appreciate that a lot.
And we've been super keen to get you on the potty. Just as someone that we've really enjoyed talking to and spending time with, and we know you have quite a lot of spearfishing history and knowledge. And but yeah, just for our listeners, we sort of thought we'd explain to how we know you. Other than coming to the comp last year, which I think is actually the first time I met you, Herb, is the same as you, Elise?
Maybe, yeah. It's been a good year, eh?
That feels like a...
One of the up at Mama White Heads.
Oh yeah, yep. You came up, we had a weekend away up there.
Had a group trip, and I think that was linked to the long shots, which is technically how we know you.
Was it?
Herb's the OG long shot.
Our nice wee social club of mates who spearfish together and do a lot of other things together, and two of your boys who got us into that club. So yeah, cool connection there through some people we met on a boat, and here we are.
I just want to clearly say that the long shots are, what is it? Small fish, dirty water.
Small fish, dirty water, yeah.
That's the slogan, right? But we're all happy about it.
A great group.
Yeah.
We know that you're a passionate Spearo as well, but we actually haven't had too much time alone to properly ask you some stuff. So that's what today's about, is just to ask you a few things about your spearfishing journey and who you are, Herb, and yeah.
Wow.
So, Herb, how did your spearfishing journey begin?
Oh, that's a pretty tricky one really, but I guess when I was a young fella I used to go hunting a lot, and my mum said I had to be home by dark, so inevitably I never got anything. And then when I left home, hunting was a bit of a thing. I thought I'd try out diving and see how that went on. This is in Christchurch, I think, when I started back then.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I was 22 at the time when I first started, which is sort of fairly late for a lot of the guys around here. And I just sort of developed from there. I went from Christchurch, ended up in Nelson, scuba diving, then got into spearfishing, and then thought that was quite a cool thing, because you always got something to take home. That was the good thing in those days. You always managed to get a fish, take a feed home, get some powers. In those days there were lots of crayfish. And I guess I sort of started out doing tank diving come spearfishing together in the day, and eventually got into just free diving, no tanks.
Nice, so you're a lot more successful at spearing fish than stalking deer then, by the sounds of it.
Yeah. From there, well, there's a lot of deer around now these days, eh? So, you guys can just go and get them.
Yeah.
And it's access to good places for deer. But really, I'm more than comfortable just going and shooting a kingy or chase a snapper or a John Dory or something around here.
Awesome.
That's pretty much our target fish.
So 22, Christchurch, got in there with the spear gun and...
Yep, in those days. And then ended up in Nelson the following year and joined the Nelson Underwater Club, and just escalated from there. I went in all spearfishing competitions and everything, and found that it was pretty much my thing. And went to the Nationals in about 1980, I think, was my first Nationals.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, you're obviously frothed, or you wouldn't have kept doing it your whole entire life since.
Saltwater kind of gets into the brain, huh? And just takes over in every way.
Well, it's just a passion. You just like anything, really, you establish a bit of a passion for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then you keep going. And so I guess moving into the commercial world, it was sort of like, well, every weekend I wanted to go spearfishing or diving, and poor old Sandy had to stay at home. So I thought, well, why don't I work at diving for the week and then have the weekend with the family and Sandy?
Yeah.
So I worked out how I could do that.
Nice. We have a couple of questions around things like that in your family life and how you got into your business side of things. But to start off, we also wanted to know a little bit, about do you have a specific memory or a time where the oceans impacted your life or your spearfishing that you can kind of think of?
Probably back when I was in Nelson, when I first started diving after moving from Christchurch. So I didn't really get into diving, and then I managed to get out in a boat and join a whole lot of guys that were tank diving and catching crayfish and having a good time, and that's when it was. Just the underwater experience was pretty well straight away in 1980, whatever.
Have you got like a specific day that kind of
started?
You just have a memory that just makes you be like, takes you back there to that?
No, not really. It was like I've sort of evolved. Really, I didn't really get straight into spearfishing and go.
Yeah.
And then I met some other legends on the way, Ian Warnock, and he was a bit of an inspiration for us. Steve Crabtree, Graham Byers, Dave Mundell, all the old names. Those guys.
Quite the crew.
Well, they were the Spearos, true Spearos, and when I moved, they were in Wellington, and I went across.
Wow.
And for some of the comps and met up with those guys, and they were your pure Spearos, and so I just basically they were my mentors.
Wow.
You said that you got into competitive spearfishing, and obviously we know the context of you being a huge organiser for the recent Inter-Pacifics comp that Elise was part of and things like that.
And years gone by,
heaps of other years,
teams.
and you being on teams. Why would you say you're so passionate about the competitive side of spearfishing rather than just, enjoying it, recreationally doing it? Like, what got you into that side of it so much?
Well, if you had a very good day spearfishing, you felt really good about it, and you knew you'd had a good day, and it was just that drive to go to a competition and know you've done really well, and that's what is what keeps you going. Your girls will be into that when you get going.
Absolutely.
You've just got to, like in the younger days and that, before a competition, you'd do 5 to 10 days just before the comp, just pure diving every day, and then build up to the comp, and then you knew you're on target, and that's where you wanted to go.
You would have been obviously spearfishing before our time, where you had to dive in safety pairs and stuff. Did you just do like individual?
Well, I was diving in the individuals, and I was involved in the transition where we lost 2 guys in one season, which wasn't too good.
Wow.
And so we just decided, we've got to go to pairs. And it is, I know, 3 definite occasions where diving in pairs has saved 3 lives, in fact.
Wow, yeah.
And so it's definitely a lot safer way to do it. And it's, you're working with a buddy and you're working with a pair, and you feel a lot safer, particularly if you're pushing yourself.
Yeah.
On these ones.
Like you said, you spent some time with some legends too, like obviously that social side of being in competition. I know for me and Elise particularly, we love the other people we get to meet. We've met you and so many other people through coming to comps and going to events where you meet other Spearos. Is that quite a large part of it for you as well, like the social connection side with Spearos?
Yeah, well, look, they all the guys at the top 20 or so all seem to have the same passion, the same urges, the same desire to do good, to do well, and to sort of be the best.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of know a little bit about being the best, and especially with from you, and then also your kids. You've got some incredible kids, and they are some of the best in the world now too. So, do you want to talk to that about? Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, Dwayne was always here. I mean, this is the house he grew up in, and this is where he started his diving career, in the bath upstairs, would you believe? As a 2-year-old, hey, Dad, I got a crayfish. In the
bathtub?
In the bathtub.
Yeah, nice.
Awesome.
Or I got a fish, and he'd put his snorkel on and dive around in the bath. So Dwayne has been involved in diving and coming out with us commercially and that since he was about 5.
Wow.
It really has. And then he just joined in, and he was just so keen to do well.
Yeah.
And to keep up with Dad, I suppose, which he did. And he surpassed us. I mean, we did actually win the nationals together as a team quite a while ago.
Wow.
But since then, he's just gone leaps and bounds ahead of me. He's certainly the Australasian, one of the best in Australasia, sort of about 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
He won the Australian champs a couple of times. He's won the New Zealand champs 11 times.
Jeez.
Yeah.
There's some info that we can gather in our
Starts
Googling.
with snorkel in the bathtub, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, I've always kind of, with my kids, have always kind of tried to figure out how do I get them into spearfishing, and I think last year you were like, chuck them in the bath, give them a snorkel, that's how it starts. So
Yeah.
We've got some
Well,
cool
you got to get
stories.
them down in the summertime too, like at Flaxmill down here, eh? And just chuck them in there and just swim around with them and just get them active. And if you can, take them around, say to the reserve and jump them in with all the snapper around there.
We heard some cool stories last night actually from some of your boys. We were looking at all the the fish, taxidermied fish on your wall and that, and a couple of your boys are telling us, such and such as, of the boys, his first snapper, and he came up and did this, and it's quite cool hearing all of those stories from their first, even though you guys have been doing it as a family for so long. It's probably so long ago that they've had those first, so it's quite cool sitting in there and being able to see, like, lots of photos of the boys with their photos of their fish, and like all the fish on the wall. It's just got quite a vibe in there, eh? Like, I feel like you're in like spearfishing headquarters a little bit.
I think there was one point where Todd got out some shark teeth very carefully because he was very concerned about breaking them, and was just like telling us a story about how a oceanic white tip tried to eat you.
Yeah, that was quite some time ago. Yeah, we're at the Rolly Shoals at that stage. It was one of my first offshore trips, 7-day offshore trip from Broome. Rolly Shoals wasn't a reserve then. We just went out there, and I was diving with legends. I think Ian Warnock was there, Steve Crabtree, Greg Pickering, Rob Torelli. They're all names that everyone my age knows or has heard about. And there's lots of these sharks around, and there's, you just had to be careful. And I was just watching one way down there, might have been 40 metres viz, I suppose. Wow. And he kept coming up. And I was thinking, can't you hear me? If you come any closer, I'll shoot you. And he sort of just kept coming, and I says, I mean it. I said, I really mean it.
Yeah.
I said, you get any closer and I'll shoot you. And he actually got to my fins and I shot him.
Oh my goodness.
And I went through the head, and then it all hell broke loose.
Oh my goodness.
And then Greg Pickering was right beside me as well, so he put a shaft into it, and the shark actually got its mouth around Greg's thigh, but he didn't actually clamp on it.
Oh.
Yeah, he just sort of got it there and flicked it off. It was a mess. Everything was a mess. There was broken guns and shafts and ropes and stuff everywhere. So it took us about an hour and a half to tidy it all up.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you've got to do what you got to do to keep your buddies safe, right? You're diving with one of your best mates, and you're in that scenario. But I mean, it was all a combination of that, But it was the oceanic white tips were quite unpredictable, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't get them on the coast. You get them well out at sea. We're in the Indian Ocean, I guess, off Rolly Shoals.
Wow.
That's great. Well, that was a shark experience, I suppose. But I never freaked out or anything about it. I just, it was sort of like, you just keep your cool. And then later on in that trip, we come, right to the end of the spear gun with some sort of 3-metre tiger sharks.
Wow.
They just mosey on up and have a look at you, and you poke them with the end of your spear gun, away they go.
Okay. Is that kind of like, I mean, in New Zealand we've got a lot of bronzies now. Is it the same kind of way that they would come in and cruise in, or are they like a different kind of...
Oh, yeah, well, the bronzies are wimps, really. They won't come in. I mean, they're always there, and they're always in the background, and they keep out of sight.
Yeah.
And it's only when you actually do something to get them excited, shoot a fish, make a splash or whatever, and they'll come in and see you, like leading a spear gun off. So they seem, the ones around here, just locally in Mercs, they seem to know that a spear gun means, ooh, it could be a feed around.
Yeah.
Dinner bell.
Dinner bell. Yeah. So you're a bit of a fountain of knowledge. You've got a lot of years of experience, and I know everyone that we've talked to about you obviously knows of you as being a bit of a legend.
And not even just in a spearfishing context, so the amount of different connections we have in New Zealand with you, with different people that we've worked with, lived with, and they all just have awesome stuff to say about you and your family. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky, I guess. They haven't heard the bad bits.
Well, from what you know, what would you want to teach, or like, what would you hope for the next generation of Spearos to know? Like,
Well, I guess particularly with kingfish, everyone seems to target kingfish, and they are a relatively easy fish to get, I think, compared with snapper to start with, but sometimes snapper are good. But snapper and kingfish are the two things that you seem to target in New Zealand. You know, what really upsets me or sort of, you know, is the fact that you hear of someone who shot a kingy and it got off. That really upsets me because that fish is going to die.
Yeah.
Okay, it's all right if they winged it or they missed it, I don't mind. So you've got to get your chances of getting a fish, and you've got to be able to land it. If you're going to shoot it, you want the best possible chance to land it. So my advice to young fellas is to have good gear that works properly and a sharp tip. You've got to have a sharp tip and a good flopper to get the sharp through the fish and to hang on, and not to rush your shot. You know, sometimes in a competition, I've done it myself, the fish is gone, it's 3 hours, 5 hours into the comp, and you haven't seen a kingy, one comes in, it's this distant shot, and you think, oh, it's the only chance I've got.
yeah.
I hate to tell you this, but me and my buddy did that yesterday, lost a kingy, and for the same reason I felt gutted, because I was like, you know, you're in a comp, you're excited, but still, we wounded the top of it. It will survive. It swam away confidently,
okay.
But I still feel horrible about it. My buddy just really didn't want to lose it in the comp. We didn't take it slow, and we didn't do it together, and we lost the fish. But yeah, I don't feel good about scenarios like that.
That's probably that's my advice. If you want to know advice to young fellas, is just be certain that you know that if you're going to shoot your fish, you know, make sure you got the best possible chance you can have of getting it, and that starts with on the land. You got to have your good gear, you got to have your nylon right, your crimp's not supposed to fall out, your gun's got to go, your rubbers aren't going to break, all that, just a simple thing, because spear guns are relatively really simple items. They're just a whole lot of rubber throwing steel through the water. And so, you know, you can have, you know, nice, smooth, good gear, and there is some incredibly good gear around nowadays. Like if we had this gear today, 30, 40 years ago, you know, we would have done a hell of a lot better. You know,
it's a good point. I've never really thought about the fact that we're living in the age of the technology is really
everything's
awesome.
Developed.
What did you guys have before? A lot of people I know made their own guns and plats and
that's what
all
we
sorts
did.
of stuff. Yeah,
made our own guns in the original days because we just didn't have access to what you've got, what there is available today.
So that's how you started. You made your own spear gun.
Yeah, made our own spear guns.
What did you make it out of?
Jara, which is Australian hardwood, and you can buy the mechanisms. And I'd just go to the woodwork shop at school, and I'd just grind it all out and get the rubbers up and make the rubbers and everything. And the steel was, we had to buy the steel and make our own shafts in those days. BBR steel was the stuff.
Wow. In
those days, so it was sort of rudimentary, and then everything developed from there. And it's still the same principle. It's like a car, you know, from 1908, you know, it's still petrol goes in, goes up, spark plug, boom. Spear gun's the same.
Yeah.
You know, it's pull the rubber back, put it on the shaft, pull the trigger, and it goes. So it's the same principle, but it's really highly refined, same as cars today.
Yeah.
They still, you know, use petrol, spark plugs, whatever. But now, and with the spear guns, it's the same. That they're just nicely refined and smooth, and you can buy them. You don't have to dick around making them.
When you bought your first spear gun, do you remember what kind it was, or?
No, I was probably.
Why would I buy one? I can make them, you know.
Yeah, well, I think I got given a Moray spear gun in those days. It was 45 years ago now, and it just had the double flopper at the front there, and it was. I probably used it once or twice, and I says, "Nah, this is a heap of junk."
Yeah.
So I thought,
I guess you had access as something to give people context. You used to be a science teacher, eh? Is that correct?
Yeah.
And if you had access to the woodwork room, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and the metalwork room.
Metalwork room and good holidays to go spearfishing.
Now you're talking.
Yeah. That's
teachers.
why.
They tend to get good holidays, don't they, Laura?
Yes, we do. That's great. Good combo with the spearfishing, and it's a good way to.
Yeah.
I think you do learn to constantly learn. Like, it sounds real lame, but like, because you're always talking about learning, but spearfishing is such a constant thing where you're learning by what you're doing, you're learning off other people, you're learning off the ocean environment around you. Like, I think it matches pretty well with teaching, to be honest. Yeah.
Even yesterday, right before, like at 7:30 in the morning, when we're starting the competition, I might have not been super organised and not quite put my mono on, and Herb even had time to show me how to do it correctly. So I appreciate that kind of patience and teaching that you have. Even when it's busy, you still take the time to show people hot tips. So
Yeah. Well, you've got all the gear over at home, and but there's there's like Ocean Hunter, there's Wetty, there's Bochet. They're really big, just diving companies in New Zealand, and they do produce some pretty damn good gear.
yeah,
In either camp, doesn't matter where you go, and having passionate divers in those camps really makes a difference.
yeah. I mean, when you love your sport, you kind of want to keep going at it and keep improving it
You
every way.
want to develop it, keep it going.
If you were to, this is a bit of part of our name, the Spearo Diaries, Spear Diary. When you're younger and you're writing in your journal, or now some people still do. If you were to write a Dear Diary day,
Like a journal entry or a fish log,
or if you could go back and read one, can you recall your most memorable fish story or your most memorable catch?
Well, probably Turner off the west coast is pretty memorable. It's that was probably the highlight, because my ambition was to shoot a fish larger than me.
Wow.
So we organised it. My mate from Australia, Gunther, another legend,
Yeah.
he wanted to shoot one too. So we just got it all right. Got the moons aligned. Everything was right. We went down to Westport, went out in the boat, and the target was to shoot a big tuna. And we went out there, and we followed behind the boats, got all set up. There was a lot of organising, a lot of routine, a lot of understanding, because actually shooting the fish and the actual the shot itself, is only going to take 2 seconds. So you had to have everything right before you. And we were 85 k's offshore. It was flat behind a big trawler. The trawler wasn't comfortable with us there. They told us to bugger off. But we come all the way out here. No, we're not going to do that. So that was when the big tuna were there. I guess jumped in, and there they were, and you shot a big tuna. I guess that was
a big school of like.
Yeah, about 20 or so came in.
Yellowfin or bluefin? Or?
No, they were the Pacific bluefin. Northern Pacific bluefin, I think they were called.
Wow.
They were big, like 266 kilos. Was the end.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Shot one bigger than yourself, and also you make sure that it's not one that you'd outgrow later in life.
I don't even know if that'd fit on your wall in the garage in there.
Yeah, that's a photo on the wall.
Is that something that many people had done at that stage? Or was it pretty...
there's a few people in New Zealand have done it. Look, really, the getting in the water and the shooting was quite easy. It's being able to get yourself organised enough to do it, and to wait for the right weather window to shoot out there, and to know that the fish are there, because there's a lot of charter boats out there trying to catch them as well.
Awesome.
And they were.
So a lot of people kind of involved in your crew of getting organised for a day. It's not just the Spearo, it's everyone else. 5 of us
went out there in one of the boats one day, just moseyed on out. Dwayne was there, and Julian was there, and Graham Mackrath, he's another legend. He's a quiet achiever, as old Graham Mackrath. And who else did I have? Yeah, Dwayne. Yeah, we just,
How is that Dwayne, like your son? Yeah, how old was he when you shot that tuna?
When I shot that tuna?
Yeah, where did you take him up when he was a
18 or 19 or something.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Wow. Yeah, he was,
You
probably
weren't dragging a 5-year-old through the ocean at that point?
No, he wasn't in the water, he did the boat. So it's a bit of an individual thing, shooting those tuna. You've got to say, right, whose turn is it? Yeah. And then everyone has to mill around these guys. That's right, Colin was there too, I remember, yeah. Fantastic. And they all jumped in the water and saw it and filmed it and blah, blah, blah. But that was good. But then there's other, I suppose my most memorable competition would be one we had at Bora Bora in it was quite a while now. I think it was about 45 at the time, but it's obviously that was my peak in my diving career in terms of ability. It was crystal clear water, it was deep drop-offs, brilliant diving. There's quite a few fish around, and we were diving, we had this terms, we'd dive 30-60s, and we were doing 30-60s. So what's a 30-60? A 30-60 is you'd go down 30 metres, and then you'd start timing your watch for 60 seconds.
Wow.
And then you'd sit there for 60 seconds, and you'd be 60 seconds on the bottom before you turn around and come up. Now you've got to remember the entire dive took about 1:55, 2 minutes max.
Yeah.
So it was basically 30 seconds down, minute on the bottom, and 20 seconds up, 25 seconds up. That's if you didn't shoot anything, of course. And then I was definitely at my peak in that particular time.
Did you, wow, even for me, like 30 metres, that's such a long way. I think I've done that on a rig line once, and I just was so proud of myself. But you were doing that multiple dives in a row.
Yeah. Well, that's, Dwayne certainly surpassed that in Greece. All those divers over there, they were doing drop weight diving.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they drive down and they're getting down to 50, 55 metres.
Oh my goodness.
And
what kind of fish do you see that deep?
Yeah, Bora Bora and stuff, yeah.
No, that was in Greece.
Oh, that's in
Greece.
Greece.
That's in Greece when those guys, this is next generation up.
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying that was my peak, and I'm saying that, Dwayne was probably at his peak. There was over there with Dave Mullins.
Wow.
And there was Dave, Julian and Dwayne, I think, were in the team, and Jeff Crawford. I think they were all those guys were diving in Greece at the time, and and Dwayne was probably the first Australasian to get bent spearfishing.
Yeah.
We heard was he the first Australasian or first in the world to ever
No, they wouldn't fit.
case?
No. It's quite a common occurrence in Greece, the way that they do it if they're not careful.
Really?
All the Greece divers have got oxygen on board their boats. And so what they do is they do their dives and they spread their dives out, so you can only do one dive every 10 minutes to that kind of depth.
Wow.
And so that you don't get a build up. But Dwayne was a bit naive about it. He didn't know, he just did day after day, kept doing this. I thought that was the way to go training. And then, he turned up and he came up after a deep dive, and then he jumped in the boat and he was all quiet, and I was sort of looking at him and his eye was twitching, and he said he tried to reach to grab something and he couldn't grab it, and he said, oh shit, I think I'm bent.
Was that like a surprise or like a thing that you would think about?
We knew
this is a
immediately what had
potential that
happened.
could happen, or?
Well, we didn't realise that it was that potential.
Yeah.
For people who don't know what that means, because I know when I first heard the story, I didn't really know, because I only knew about tank diving with the bends from that. When
Same
you say
thing.
he said he got bent, you literally mean got
Same
bends.
as tank.
Wow.
Same
Which
as tank.
some people try and claim
Nitrogen.
you can't, right? Some people claim you can't do that free diving. You obviously can.
Oh yeah, obviously can. This happened. This is exactly what happened. He was spent too much time at 50 metres, and it was just a build up after 5 days.
Yeah.
Build up. The nitrogen builds up in your body. It's not getting out, and then eventually it goes to bubbles. When you just do a dive for too long or whatever. So we put him on oxygen at 10 metres for 10 minutes. He came right straight away pretty well. Then put him at 5 metres for another 10 minutes. We had to get the oxygen off the Greece team.
Yeah.
And they said, we need the oxygen for us. I said, okay. So by that time we had organised for the ambulance to meet us back at the wharf.
Wow.
So we shot back to the wharf, went to the hospital. We didn't take any risks. We just paid for a helicopter to go from the islands to go to Athens and put him in the chamber.
That's not something you want to muck around with, is it? So
No.
that's understandable.
No. So he got away with it this time round. It was pretty good.
That would have been quite you were the team manager for that?
I wasn't actually the team manager at
Yeah.
that stage. I was assistant team manager.
Yeah. So being there, being assistant team manager, and plus being the dad, would have been quite a day for you.
It didn't matter if it was Dwayne or any of the other divers. I think the concern would have been the same because you're a team.
Yeah.
The fact that it's your son, I suppose, that didn't add anything at the immediate time
Yeah.
to the situation and what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So you need to do this, and this. Right, let's get on and do it.
Yeah. And obviously made a full recovery and is still diving like an absolute champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Far out.
Some good stories, as we expected.
Yeah.
Stories. Yeah.
I guess to go from that's some pretty serious stuff, there's a lot of safety around spearfishing, with buddies and all those different things you've covered. But I guess we want to hear, maybe is there have you got like a funny memory that's kind of like, what,
Oh, they're all fun days.
Yeah.
Even yesterday was a fun day. I mean, if it's not fun, you don't do it. You don't keep going. But I don't know of any real sort of funny days. The boys used to be quite cowboys when I first started in the 80s. They used to have Haynes 163 boats, which still a few of the guys have got around here. And I guess prop wash was always the big thing for unsuspecting.
What's a prop wash? Just for, when I get it.
For us non-boaty experts over here. So.
What you do at the start of a competition, you usually all turn up and you're all anchored up. And then one of the boats just very, very quietly turns so the arse of the boat's facing at 90 degrees to the other boat. Then they lift their motor up and then gas it. And it's a massive spray.
So their wake, basically, they create massive wake.
No, it's just a spray of water.
You
And it
just
goes
spray
over
all the
right and
contestants.
spray all the boys until they're changed. So they all get drenched.
That's good. I like that. We're giving a few people some ideas now.
No.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a day on a boat with you for a comp last year, coming well with you and Toby on one of your inflatables. And you're just a good vibe to be around, you're happy to be in the water. And we just look at you and we talked about it on the way home that trip and we're like, man, I hope when we're older and we've been spearfishing for however many years, we're still that lit up about it, to be that excited about something. It's a hobby still. And most of the spearos we've met are the same, but that's what I noticed about you, is you can just be on the boat and happy as.
One thing that amazes me about spearfishing New Zealand is the amount of gear that's being sold through all the shops at the moment. I talked to Wetty and I talked to Ocean Hunter and I talked to Ants at Bochet. The amount of equipment that's going into the public here in New Zealand, you'd think there'd be no fish left, but it's not. It's spearfishing. To be good at spearfishing, you've got to have that little bit extra. There's something extra that you have to do. And it's called, what do you call it? Diving. Just keep diving, and you've got to go diving all the time. You just got to go. You just got to want to do it. If you don't, you lose it. You can lose it pretty quick. And 20 metres is a pretty easy target for most divers here in New Zealand. Young divers should be able to get to 20 metres, no problem at all. And not risk themselves.
I'm still battling around the 15 metre mark.
So my advice to anyone that's starting out, a safety advice really is don't dive over 2 minutes.
Okay.
And then that's what I've said to my team when I was captain in, say, Guam. At one stage there, we had another blackout there. One of the guys, lucky someone was looking after him and saved him. But he was at 2:35 on his watch, he said, and he said he started coming up, he was on the way up, and he said he just didn't know anything about it. The next minute he was out.
Really?
And if you are going to extend it, for God's sake, have someone look at you. Get someone observe you and get in there.
Being right there, ready to grab.
That's good advice, especially for those of us who, or anyone who starts to get competitive. And a lot of people do tend to get quite, this is my bottom time and my breath hold this. And a lot of the time it's obviously to get fish, but nothing's worth losing a mate over.
That's right. It's not. No fish is worth blacking out over, of course, because you'll never get the fish anyway. But set yourself your targets of you should be able to do, and relax before you dive. Because the idea is to get all the carbon dioxide out of your body and just get as much oxygen in. So before you actually go down, have your own little routine of how you breathe up. And you've got to relax. You just got to be relaxed before you duck dive. Super relaxed, and then away you go down. But this is all in the free diving, how those guys do, all those massive depths.
But it's very different, well, I mean, this is my limited experience, it's very different when you're actually in the environment, that there's fish around, even in comps. So it's different to just free diving where there's no creatures around, in a lake.
Okay, I haven't done much free diving, so I guess you're right.
But you're right, all those free diving
last year,
aspects are important.
You said, what's that thing where you go down, you come back up without a fish? Free diving. It was so funny.
Yeah. But it's also knowledge of the fish. You've got to know how your fish are. You know which ones to chase. You've got to know, and that's all what you call IP. Intellectual property, which every diver's got, and their own little spots where they go and where their fish is, and there's their own little secrets, and their techniques as well. But you can put good divers in, just about anywhere, and they'll work it out in New Zealand pretty quick. If they're fit and healthy and up and ready to go, you get to know where the fish are and where they're likely to hang out, because you've been doing it for 40, 50 years, you sort of tend to know.
It's almost like a sense at that point. So, I know you mentioned it earlier about being a family man and wanting to dive during the week so you can hang out with Sandy on the weekends and that kind of thing. We know that you're running a bit of an empire in New Zealand
I
for
wouldn't
Kina.
call it an empire.
A cult.
We know
a bit about the
the
business.
Herberts and Kina kind of just go hand in hand in power. So, I mean, how did you think of selling Kina, and how did that all start? Was it in New Zealand or overseas?
Well, I was pretty much, when I was sort of teaching, actually, I suppose, I dabbled a little bit in Australia, and then I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. I could get some quota over here, and bought a little bit of quota power in those days. And that was down the Dunedin way. A mate of mine in Dunedin got me started on that. And I said to myself, well, I really don't want to live in Dunedin. So I've been there at university for 4 years, and that was enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the weather. I mean, there's got to be better places in the world to live than Dunedin.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, where do I want to live? So I thought, Whitianga, Bay of Islands, somewhere near the sea, somewhere the diving is. Diving and squash was my passions at the time. And we just settled for here, I guess. And then we got here and we thought, well, what are we going to do here? And I thought, well, these Kinas, there must be some money in Kinas. There's a lot of Kinas around. So I sort of went out and did a bit of investigation. In those days, it was permit species, where you had to have a permit to go and catch the stuff.
Okay.
And there were only 12 permits issued, and there was a moratorium on it in 1919. You couldn't get any more permits, and it was a lot of hoops. And so really, I wanted to be home every night, basically. So I didn't want to have to go away to Dunedin and sit down there for weeks at a time. In fact, what we used to do is I used to take the family with us. 1st of October, season started. We'd chuck all the kids in the van, and we'd go down to basically Stewart Island, Dunedin, and we'd catch all our powers and come home.
Yeah.
Which is great, That was only sort of 6 weeks out of the year. I wouldn't do for the rest of the year.
All right.
Yeah. So I thought, well, I'll try the Skinners. And it started out, it was a disaster. Absolute disaster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just didn't work. And I found someone who might buy them, who was buying them, and I was selling them 90 cents a kilo by the sack, and I was getting something like, 500 kilos a day,
Wow.
which is $450. And you had to run them to Auckland.
Yeah.
So you were doing it from here, just with you and some people you knew?
No, just me.
Just you physically going
Just
and getting
me
them?
and Decky. And
That's
I'd
a lot of Kina for that price.
Well, yeah, 400 kilos or something's about what it takes. What a guy gets in a day, a diver gets.
So no one was keen on buying it at that point?
No,
Okay.
there was no Kina market. There was nothing. There just wasn't a market.
Yeah.
And that's all there was to it. So I figured, well, excuse me, we decided that because I was selling the green, you didn't know if it was good or bad, and if it was really, really good, they expected it every time, and of course we couldn't. So I realised after a couple of years that, hey, listen, I've really got to put them into pottles so that you're selling a pottle and that's it. And it doesn't matter how many Kinas are in there, you're still getting a pottle, 200 grams. And we started out with the oyster tubes, which was a bit of a disaster. And then we moved into basically the pottles that we've got now.
Okay.
Underground, we started making those.
Which are clearly doing really well now.
Well,
you're not out there doing it yourself anymore and getting those kinda, so it's obviously worked out.
A really
That's
interesting
all right.
thing Laura mentioned yesterday was, I think she was talking to Todd and being like, hey, how do I keep some kina in my classroom for the kids? You know,
Making
just
me
to
sound
show and
weird.
touch them. Just to show, like, you know, I bring a part of the ocean into the day-to-day for the kids that a lot of the kids in her area don't actually get to go out to the ocean. And he said one really interesting thing is they can eat through glass.
Yeah, I was buzzed by that.
And then they eat through, that's how they in their little holes in the rocks, is they eat through the rock. It
if
just
they're
blew my
starving.
mind.
If
they're
they're hungry,
starving.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, what is glass? Glass is sand.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Good point.
It's heat treated sand.
Yeah.
And so in an aquarium, they'll crawl up the glass, and if they're hungry, they'll just chew away at the glass.
It's
And
nuts.
then they'll
I
just
can't believe that.
Wow.
break.
Oh, so to follow that, I probably won't be keeping my pet
No.
kina at school in a
but
glass
if-
container, but
If you feed them, you should be okay.
Yeah.
that's what I was told. I know what you feed them, but yeah. Well, a little bit of kina knowledge for everybody
Better
there.
enough and have a taste
Don't
later,
keep
kids.
pet kina. Don't keep your pet kina and forget to feed them, or they'll
A
leak
lot of
through the
people
glass.
say they taste like the ocean.
Kinas.
Yeah.
Well, you've tried them. You
I
must
mean,
know
I
what they
love
taste
them.
like.
Yeah, I enjoy
They're-
them.
they're a
pretty
good comp
creamy
day
and
snack.
sweet at the moment. So
Yeah.
often when I forget my lunch, I'll dive down and just have a bit of a munch on kina.
They definitely taste better fresh in the ocean.
They do.
I've never been phased about
Yeah.
them out of the water till I actually
Yeah.
started diving, and then I was like, hey, this is some good protein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. And iodine stuff.
Oh yeah, I guess we had covered quite a bit of stuff that we want to talk to you about. I feel like we could probably talk to you for like another 2 or 3 hours straight, but it is your holiday Monday, King's birthday, and you know you
Jobs
probably
to do, darling.
got a few stuff to do.
do.
Yeah, we've got some jobs to do for you before we hit the road back to Auckland. But is there anything else that like you'd quite like to like talk about or mention or
Not really,
say?
girls. You've covered most of my life.
Oh, it's like a very small glimpse into
Yeah.
a very long.
We do know though, just to finish off on this note, you are finally, a lot of people have said you don't take a break from working much, and the Herberts have got a bit of a trend for that, but you're actually off on holiday with your lovely wife very soon.
It's a business holiday.
Wow, okay.
We're going
There
to
you
actually
go.
go and check up. We're going to Tromsø, which is up in the northern, in the Arctic Circle in Norway, and catch up with a scientist there who did a project here with us at this place here, really. About 15, 20 years ago, we did a kina enhancement project, and he was working for NIWA at the time. He's decided to go over to Norway and develop his science skills over there, working for a company called Norforma. And they developed a particular diet for enhancing urchin around the world.
Wow.
So we've been sampling, we've actually in the last 2 years, someone else has kicked off the program and followed it on, taken up the baton and started running with it again. So we've been involved in that. No, well, it's an American company that's managed to get hold of the diet and patent it, and so it's like Kentucky Fried Chicken special recipe
You know,
type
like
thing.
farming kina.
Kina nutritionists, by the sounds of
So you
it.
bring the kina on shore, you farm them this particular diet, they fatten up, and then away they go. In fact, yesterday we had someone on Saturday we had someone in the factory doing some samples from 12-week fattening program and taking these to be in Taiwan now.
Wow.
Go up to Taiwan, trial it. So we got Taiwan, Singapore.
That is like that's
sort
going
of
to be a really interesting thing to
Well,
watch.
we're just not holding our breath. We're just, keep going. It's just something we were doing, working on.
Sounds interesting though, like
Yeah.
you're doing this and it's still developing and there's still new research around it. Must make it pretty interesting for you.
45
Yeah,
years
that's
is
what keeps
still
me going.
innovative.
Yeah,
Cool.
just step to step, day to day. So I'm lucky enough to have a fantastic crew.
Yeah.
Like Callum and Todd and that and Dwayne. They sort of run the show now, and I'm confident that I can leave them to it for a couple of months. But we're going up there, and then we're going to Hong Kong, have a little Hong Kong markets,
Nice.
and have a look at the Tokyo markets on the way home, and then do a tour around sort of that Western Europe.
Cool. Have you been on that side of the world before?
Yeah,
Yeah.
been there several times, several.
The spearfishing comps.
Spearfishing chomps,
Yeah.
Croatia, we had the worlds, Venezuela, we had the worlds, Tahiti, we had the worlds, Makiki in Chile, we've had the worlds.
Wow.
We've been to quite a few worlds and that.
That's
various times.
incredible. That is so cool. That's like, something I aspire to do one day. Is like got my goals and I've kind of got the eye on the wheels one day once I keep going for it. But the fact that you've been to so many is so
Yeah, well, it's every 2 years they sort of have them. Of course, COVID, the spanner in the works. But then you got Alex on the pedestal there at second in the world.
That's pretty incredible, yeah.
It's a pretty stunning feat for New Zealand, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, she's an amazing human, that one, an amazing Spearo, but so are you, and we really appreciate the amount of chat you've given us and letting us stay numerous times.
I'm not at the top anymore, of course, but there is an old cliche which I'll finish with for you girls. It is far better to be a has-been than a never was.
I love that.
That's really good.
That's a great note to finish on.
Well,
Thanks,
you for
girls.
that, Herb. We appreciate you
you,
so
Herb.
much.
Thanks for checking in with us today. Cheers for listening. We hope you found Herb's memories as fascinating as we did.
We appreciate any feedback on Spotify or Instagram, so we can keep filling your ear holes with the great stuff.
In the next 2 weeks, we'll have some epic stuff up for grabs for you, including prizes from Weddy, Victory Knives, Dive Mon Art, Dive R Fins, and a few more. Come catch up with us at the New Zealand Boat, Fish, Dive Expo at the end of August.
Toodles!
Toodles!